So I went to a trance party once. Everyone there was on drugs. Also, it's very easy to make trance music. All you do is you just program your computer to make random noises and then voila, you have yourself a trance song. Okay, that's enough. Those statements are actually some of the most common stereotypes you hear about trance music and its scene. Although, something that's generally overlooked by those that are foreign to the culture is the fact that this style of music actually goes deeper than your average radio banger by virtue of how it interacts with your psyche and your spirit. The term trance is defined as an induced, elevated state of consciousness. That's what the music does with its repetitive nature, and the idea is that if you dance to it for long enough at faster BPMs, you have the potential to go into a trance-like state. Keep in mind that this is a very broad genre, and what I just explained is usually associated with psytrance, a genre which first emerged on the beaches of Goa, that's a place in India, in the early 1990s. Eventually, it expanded into our borders with its global popularity explosion. Today, the South African trance scene, especially in Cape Town, is one of the leading forms of prevalent youth culture. Plus, there are numerous trance parties in South Africa that are also world-renowned, even attracting thousands of foreigners into these events. Well, that's of course before Corona. But how did it all culminate to this point? In this video, we dive deep into the story of the trance scene here in South Africa, but I'm really talking about Cape Town since this is where it's most prominent. If you are new to the channel, please do hit that red button and please subscribe. You definitely want to see what we have in store for the next year. Guys, it's time. Let's get into it. Well, the story doesn't actually begin in South Africa. It begins in Goa, a state on the southwestern coast of India which became a hotspot for hippies towards the end of the 20th century. At the time, Western countries, particularly the US, began cracking down on their freedoms as their ideologies opposed the system, and they looked for other places in the world to live out their desired life.
There was alternative everything, because this was a community that was throwing out the old rules and living by an entirely new set of values.
It was places like Goa where they could be at one with nature, practice their liberties, and of course, throw psychedelic parties on the beach. At its core, psytrance was the evolutionary soundtrack to the lives of the people that experienced that moment in time. Even today, psytrance is still very much deeply based in spirituality, exploration, rebirth, and discovery, which pretty much explains the association with hippie culture. The worldwide explosion of trance music brought with it its first outdoor trance party in South Africa in 1994. A small group of traveling friends, most likely hippies, had a ghetto blaster and they were celebrating somebody's birthday on Sandy Bay Beach. But a proper scene hadn't been established yet. The end of apartheid breathed new life into SA and the taste of freedom was met with a celebratory atmosphere which was just right for partying. Within the trance community, it was production companies such as Vortex and Farside that were hosting monthly warehouse raves in the early days. Keep in mind that at the time, the Vortex crowd was accustomed to rave music, not really trance music. And in May 1995, two European travelers by the names of DJ Dai and Yalchi played the very first psychedelic trance to a massive audience at Vortex's May Day party. And the switch from house and rave to psytrance created a completely different vibe which took people by surprise.
And we slipped in the trance and the party took on another vibe and it cooked. It was just like a whole different vibe. It was just kind of deeper and in there and wow.
With more trance events hosted by various organizations, this led to the blooming of the scene and attracted attention from overseas. In 1995, a collection of foreign travelers formed to create Conscious Streams, and with the help of Moonshot Express, they threw parties every month. But something that's very significant is the fact that this basically ended and was born again in '96 to form one of the most important trance party organizations we know today. I'm talking about Alien Safari. Something else iconically to mention before I move on from the origins. See what I did there? See what I did there? I'm talking about the internationally acclaimed Vortex party on New Year's Eve in the year 2000. It was promoted across the globe and over 2,000 international travelers attended the festival, with some of the most iconic trance acts in the world gracing the stage. I'm talking about people like Infected Mushroom, Bamboo Forest, Hallucinogen, and so much more. At the time, this was the biggest trance party held outside of Europe, so you can imagine how this increased the popularity of the scene and how this opened the doors for other trance organizations. Apart from the ones mentioned, some of the most prominent trance events in the country include Origin, Organic, Twilight, Into the Wild, and Earth Dance. One could say that the three main elements which continuously breathe life into the outdoor trance scene are the organizations, the artists, and the people. There was a certain kind of magic that was going on in the trance scene during the first decade of the century. And after that, a new era emerged. A new era along with a new generation joining the scene. An era that would inevitably change what it means to experience an outdoor trance party. The nature of scenes is that they evolve. And over time, the trance scene continuously became steeped in controversy during the past couple of years, especially over areas that concern safety. As we all know, nightlife and the underworld are old acquaintances. For some, drugs are not recreational. They are territories, something that needs to be controlled. The presence of dodgy drug dealers and dealers from notorious gangs such as the 28s and the Sexy Boys, and people that are there for the wrong intentions, started to seep into the outdoor trance scene and introduce criminal elements. This in turn hindered the experience of those coming for a good time and a transformational experience, as they also had to worry about their safety and their belongings. In an attempt to combat this, one of the organizations started an invite system which basically filters out the individuals that come to the party so that the bad elements could be removed. Some organizations still implement this, although when it was first introduced in 2015, allegations of racism sprung up due to some people believing that this was a way festival organizers could effectively whiten their festival. Honestly, there is no concrete evidence of this. However, this whole debacle of race and exclusion in the trance scene isn't coming up out of nowhere. It stems from the fact that the attitude towards colored people from a more disadvantaged background, you know what, let me just say it, I'm being nice. The attitude towards Kham coloreds isn't usually a positive or welcoming one. There's even been reports of a party saying on their invite, no Kham people allowed. This is not specifically a trance scene issue, it's more so a reflection of the racial dynamics we experience in South African society. So in short, hints of these things can be seen in most aspects of life.
In 1994, we did not become a non-racial society. We are not a non-racial society today. That is still a goal we must achieve. So what was defeated in 1994 is apartheid.
Something that also kind of gets mentioned is how old heads tend to feel that the trance scene has been watered down by youngsters who feel that the trance scene is nothing but a party. They feel this watering down is also attributed to the rise of other trance forms which doesn't have the same depth as psytrance. As the scene has become popular over the years, of course elements of commercialization has cropped up. And this also means that you'll find people who follow the scene as it could be a trendy thing to do, those in it for the spiritual journey, the long-time devotees, and those who simply just want to have fun. There shouldn't be rules and expectations of how people should trance, as everybody is on their own journey. And you know, it's that diversity of people willing to experience this journey through trance music which creates such a colorful community. We may be in times of corona, but something that is certain is the fact that the trance scene will bounce back, especially since it's arguably one of the biggest genres in the country. Honestly, this is a very expansive subject, and if we miss something, if you'd like to add something to the conversation, please let us know in the comment section below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching until the very end. Peace guys, and please don't forget to subscribe.